been to a game at Clemson before?
No, I've not.
This will be your first
Yeah,
experience.
it's the first one. I've never been to Clemson. I never visited or anything, so it's my first time on campus.
What have you heard about the atmosphere in football?
Oh yeah, I mean, I heard it's a great atmosphere. I heard the stadium gets very loud. It's a big atmosphere. I mean, that's what you expect. You know, a team, you know, that has been that good, you know, over the past few years. You expect it to be a pretty good environment to play in.
Does that help when you play an emotional game like you did against Duke, knowing that's the kind of atmosphere you're going into? It's not going to be
Yeah,
like
I
you
mean,
go to
you know, I
stadium.
think me personally, I'm just a guy who kind of, you know, I feed off of energy. So playing in those types of atmosphere, I think, only brings the best out of me.
Would it be weird to go through your career and not play a game there? Because a lot of guys have. Last time Carolina played there was 2014. It was Deshaun Watson's college starting debut.
Yep.
And
Yeah, I mean, I'd definitely be weird. I was actually just talking about this with somebody. Like, we've never been to Louisville. We haven't been to Louisville, I guess, so long. I've never even played Louisville, much been there. So definitely kind of weird. That would be our first time kind of going down there to Clemson.
Is it exciting?
Yes, very exciting. Like I said, I think, you know, it's going to be a great atmosphere. And those one of the places that you know, always want to, you know, play college football at. You know, it's a great place to play at, great team. I think it's going to be a great game, a fun game to be a part of.
Said, how many times have you gone back and watched the championship game from last year? Like, forced yourself to look at it and sort of reckon with what happened?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've watched that game a few different times. I actually just watched it, I think yesterday, you know, just trying to see, you know, maybe they do some of the similar things. They, you know, attacked us last year, if they do some of those things this year. But yeah, they do have a new offensive coordinator, so, you know, some things are a little bit different. But definitely just watching the film, you know, learning tendencies, seeing how players may run the ball or different things like that. So I definitely have watched the game from last year.
Do you feel like you guys are
do you look at this game as sort of like, I know you don't get a total get back, but you know, they did kind of hand it to you in the ACC Championship. Like, do you look at it as like some kind of, I don't know, measure of revenge or something?
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit of measure of revenge. I mean, they, you know, took the ACC Championship away from us last year. You know, whether it's for the ACC Championship or not, you know, we're going up against that team again, so there's definitely some sort of want to get revenge and want to win. But, you know, I come out every week trying to win every game. And I think that's the main thing. You know, yeah, you might get a little bit hyper to play some teams than others, but, you know, I come out here and I try to ball every week. So, yeah.
Cedric, Clemson is down by their standards this year, but the way they played Notre Dame a couple weeks ago, the way they played Georgia Tech, do you feel like you're catching them sort of at their best this season? It seems like they're in a good place right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all kind of used to Clemson being, you know, undefeated 10-win type of team. Obviously, they kind of lost a few games this year, but if you look at the film, they're still very talented. They're still a very solid team, and they've played a lot of teams close this year. They lost the Florida State game, but played them very well.
Right. Might have had that game won.
Yeah, but, you know, so I think, you know, this is a very good team. We're not going to take them lightly just because they have a few more losses this year or anything like that. But, you know, we're very capable of winning this game. So we just got to prepare and get things right and, you know, go down there in Clemson and find a way to win.
You guys played Cade Klubnik in his, you know, so to speak, breakout game, I guess. You know, he didn't start that game. There wasn't a ton of film on him prior to that game. This year he's had, you know, pretty much a season, more of a body of work, so to speak. When you kind of look at him, what are some of the things that sticks out to you, just kind of how he's performed and just, you know, what he's like as a player?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a talented player, can make all the throws. I think a part of his game that I've kind of noticed this year that we might not have really seen, you know, coming out playing him last year is that he's, you know, been pretty effective running the ball as well. They have a few design runs for him, some QB draws, different things like that. But he's very talented. You know, we were watching film on him the other day. He made a crazy kind of sideways kind of throw and found out that he played baseball in high school. So he's a very athletic guy. Can definitely get the job done. But I think we'll have a pretty good plan going against him this weekend. I don't think we'll be able to find ways to kind of slow him down.
And I guess to what extent does some of the prior quarterbacks you guys have played, how much does that help? When you guys have played some guys that like to get out the pocket a little bit, guys that have certain design runs, how much do those previous games help the Clemson?
Yeah, I mean, I think, having those previous games and experiencing, those things definitely help. But also being able to be like, okay, hey, here's what the plan that we're going to come up with, maybe a little bit similar plan to containing other quarterbacks. So it's good to kind of have that, previously before. So we'll be able to kind of use some of that stuff this week going against Clemson.
You mentioned Cade's running. Their conventional ground game has been a little bit better in recent weeks. When you look at film, why have they been better?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're firing off the bell really well. I think they've kind of expanded their run game a little bit the past few weeks. Like I said, I've kind of noticed some more design quarterback run plays the past few weeks, and just different ways that they run the ball. Clemson, I think they're finding different ways to kind of run the ball as well these past few weeks, and I think they've done a pretty effective way in doing that. So we definitely have to be able to play and be able to stop it.
In the era of the spread offense, where it's so wide open and things are going a million miles an hour sometimes. I mean, is Clemson in some ways, a man's game, like a throwback a little bit to where you're just going to line up and get after it?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think, it would be more of a traditional kind of spread game. I don't think it'll be, too much complicated things going on. And like you said, it's just going to be kind of man-on-man battles and who's going to win those. So obviously we have to come out on top, whether that's, one-on-one blocking with the D-line or one-on-one with the receiver, one-on-one with the linebacker, running back in the hole, whatever it is, we're going to have to come out on top.
Now that you've had a couple of days to process the other night, what has been a consistent, like a common thread in some of the issues in the fourth quarter against the last few ACC games?
Yeah, I mean, I think, teams might have caught on to a little bit what we're doing in the fourth quarter, maybe different things like that. I'm not really, can point, one specific thing out. But I do know that we have kind of been a little bit on the downside these past few fourth quarters. I'd say the past 3 games other than the Campbell game, the Virginia game, Georgia Tech game, and this Duke game. So I think we just that's something that we've kind of put a point of emphasis on, kind of reviewing the film and just looking back over the past few games. And I think we're just going to have a better plan in being aware that, hey, this is what happened to us in the fourth quarter. What are some things that we can do so we can make sure, teams don't, start scoring touchdowns in the fourth, the most important part of the game.
Max said just he thinks maybe you guys have been a little bit tired, and he specifically noted you and Power, all the snaps that you're playing. Would it maybe be better to sit a series out here and there earlier to be fresher? And I asked Gene that yesterday. He said it's really hard to take you guys off the field.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's kind of hard like that. A big game playing it versus Duke. There has been conversations of maybe taking us out maybe a little bit earlier in the game, or so we're fresher for the fourth. But that doesn't matter. You know how I feel about that. I've always feel like, you're gonna have to drag me off the field. I have a dog mentality. I'm gonna play hard every snap. So me personally, I don't think that really affected me as much. But I definitely think this is also another thing that we are a little bit cautious and aware of, and you might tweak some things moving forward to kind of make it better.
So last year you played more snaps than any ACC defender has played since 2018. I mean, like, how much fatigue do you have to fight through? I know you said you're gonna have to drag me off the field. Like, how tired are you at the end of these games, and how much are you fighting to overcome that feeling?
Yeah, I mean, I think particularly in the games, it really doesn't bother me that much. I mean, so much adrenaline is going, so much locked into the game. It honestly doesn't really, get to me as much, during the games. But I will say, during the weeks, during practice, I definitely, might wake up feeling a little bit off or a little bit slower. That's sometimes, but I just try to do what I can, stretching my body, getting the soreness out, and just trying to work through it all, throughout the week. So, I can be able to practice well and effectively and still be prepared on games on Saturday.
Yeah, I remember you saying after, I think it was UVA, the 18 tackles, that you were feeling it the next couple of days.
Cedric, I guess going into, we talked a little bit about Clemson and Death Valley and all that. I guess going into some of those road weeks, do you guys do anything like kind of unique, you know, in preparation? Like you guys go to the, I don't know, go to the stadium the day before or anything like that?
Yeah, you know, we've definitely done that, you know, before on road games, kind of go to the stadium before, check it out, maybe get a feel for the field, different things like that. But, you know, we also kind of prepare about throughout the week. You know, Coach is infamous for playing, you know, the team's fight songs during practice and different stuff like that, or maybe saying their different chants throughout practice. So that might be a few ways that, you know, we'll prepare this week to kind of play in that atmosphere. But yeah, just getting prepared, you know, in all ways possible. Coach will definitely find ways for us to do that. So just attacking them and getting ready for the game this week.
Was there any special music? Drake was saying to pump some music into practice today. Was that like, was it Clemson fight song or was this normal like hype mix that you guys?
It was a little bit normal hype mix today. He was saying a lot of different phrases and stuff like that today.
Max was?
Yeah.
Through the microphone?
Yeah.
Okay. So Clemson, maybe Clemson.
Like what?
Clemson themed things.
Tiger Rag.
Yeah.
You guys hear Tiger Rag a
You're
lot.
here to lead in town.
Do you hear? Does that stuff work? You think?
You know, definitely I think the fight song, you know, just listening to the noise and different things like that. I mean, I definitely think it, you know, kind of helps you get a little bit accustomed to it and, you know, not just be surprised about it. I mean, I think, you know, that's not really the point is to kind of train for. I think it's just kind of prep you to get in that mindset that we're about to go into an environment, you know, where it's just us versus them.
You ever get to a point where you hate it and you're just like, okay, if we go in there and play well, we're not going to hear it as much?
No,
They play it a lot. They play it a lot.
It's just part of the game.
Do you personally look at these last two games of the regular season like an ACC championship? Like, is that sort of the way you approach it?
Yeah, I mean, I think these are two very important games to us. And I think they're important to us for so many reasons. I think, you know, these are two teams we lost to kind of the back end of the year last year. Got a rivalry game versus NC State after this one. I think everybody gets excited to play Clemson. So, you know, it's obviously a numerous different reasons we're excited. These are good opponents that we need to prep for. So it's all different factors that kind of, you know, make you, okay, we really got to attack this. We really have to, you know, try to find extra ways and take the extra mile, you know, find ways to win.
All right, we good?
Good.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Awesome.